Today I'm talking to you a little bit about the corset I'm working on at the moment, which you can see here. It's an underbust corset and it has 6 panels on either side. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of information which basically no corset I make, no two corsets I make are made in exactly the same way because I do whatever feels right, so just going through how I make those kind of decisions. This corset has got a black busk at the front because I decided I was going to have basically a purple and black theme with it. This I showed a couple of times before. It's really thin. It's Vietnamese silk, so it's really, like, you could see right through it, and that's been kind of interfaced, and it's got on the inside the floral coutil rather than just plain. Just move that so you'll catch the light. I decided I was going to make a corset with external boning channels on because I don't really use it as a feature particularly often, and it's something that I wanted to get a bit more used to in case I got any orders with that. So the boning channels are made from strips of bias cut coutil, which isn't the bell pattern stuff, it's just plain black. I've got a cat attacking this. If you look on the inside, it pretty much looks like it has been lined rather than being flat lined, because I decided as it was going to be external boning channels I would basically make it almost the wrong way round, so that covering the seams on the outside is the boning channels. Did want to keep a feature of the fabric. I also have used some Victorian lace around the bottom, which is then hand sewed in place. I didn't want to sort of waste that on something where it wasn't going to be seen. So, as well as having there are 4 on the outside there, which has got 5 panels, not 6, my mistake. I've also got, so far there are 4 here, and then the one here which has got the flat steel. So if I was doing this sort of all either on the outside or the inside, I would basically just go at the waist, the narrowest point, however many I could across. But because of the fact that obviously some of them are on the inside, what I'm having to do is, lucky me, look for the black stitches on the black, and then basically get as many as I could. So I could get, on this one obviously I could get 2, on this one there was only room for 1. Probably going to add 2 more here and then another one here, which will mean that there is a total of, I think, 24 bones in it. When it came to the lace, I couldn't decide whether or not I wanted to add it over the boning casings or underneath. I thought that it would be quite a nice feature to have it so that they were underneath the boning channels, so it didn't look like it's sort of been tacked on afterwards as an afterthought. So I put it round. The lace is quite wide, so it goes around a curve, and I had to underneath a couple of the boning channels it's sort of almost like a dart, so that it fits nicely around the curves of the body. I'll show you on the other side where it's not been tacked into place yet. It is quite sort of loose around the top, so that's just hand sewn down, but it does go really nicely, but if it's not against the body it's quite loose. The back of the corset, you can see it comes up like this. This is something I've started doing in my corsets a bit more now. I had somebody I made a corset for today saying, basically asking, is it meant to go higher at the back, which it is, mainly because I was always absolutely tiny growing up, and only in the past year have I gained weight and faced the problems that sort of come with that and wearing a corset. I'd always been perfectly happy having them come straight across, but now that I've got a bit more fat on me, I find it really a lot more comfortable to have it coming up higher. I also have quite a bad back, so having it coming up, it's got 7mm flat steels either side of the eyelids. It just offers a bit more support in terms of that, as well as not having fat coming across the lip at the top. Another reason I decided to give that a go is that I spend a lot of my time looking at original corsets, because although we can improve on them, it's nice to see how it was done originally, because sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Most of the Victorian corsets do come up at the back, so it's obviously something that had been taken into consideration and had been decided was of benefit to put into the patterns back then. Otherwise, when companies like Symington's are doing it, they wouldn't have bothered. That was obviously extra fabric that they didn't necessarily need to use in the garments. It's got laces in at the moment because I did try it on. Don't know if I'm going to keep it or sell it. But basically, when you're making a corset, there are dozens of different ways. I don't know if anybody uses Foundations Revealed. There's obviously the different methods being shown on how to make the Silver Daro corset at the moment by Laughing Moon. And although, yes, you can learn one method and stick to it, I think it's beneficial to take each piece on a case-by-case basis. I think this looks a lot better than had I just stuck external boning channels on the outside and it had the seams left raw on the inside, or just even overcast. And again, that was just a little bit more detail about how this is going to be quite heavily boned, whereas the one I did use as an example for boning wasn't. And it's also kind of a bit of a just insight into how I decide how my designs are going to be in terms of embellishments, as I thought it might interest some people. And I decided that okay, it's great that I can write write blogs and stuff, but I know that a lot of people who are quite visual learners, so to be able to have me talk through it as well. As when I try and write these things down, they usually slip from my mind. The one thing I don't do that a lot of people do, as you may have noticed, if you do, I don't put a waist tape in corsets. I have absolutely no problem reducing my waist quite a lot, never have, without a waist tape, and I don't find that my corsets stretch at all. You tended to find waist tapes more in sort of Edwardian 1910s corsets than you did in the Victorian ones anyway, which weren't very drastic in terms of waist reduction. And although they can sort of add stability, you know, I think that my stuff is strong enough. I try and make sure that my stuff is going to be strong enough that it doesn't need the extra support, really. Although I guess it is a safety net that some people feel that they would rather have. Didn't get any responses as to which corset people would rather I went into detail about from my last post, so at the moment I'm not entirely sure which one to focus on. I've got quite a lot of work on at the moment. I'm working on a costume for Dark Teaser for the Garter Lounge, which is in Leamington on Friday the 13th of April. If anyone is local, then it would be great if you could come down. There's going to be some pretty awesome costumes and stuff there to go and have a look at anyway. So at the moment, to be honest with you, I don't exactly have the time to go into to as much detail as I would like to with my historical ones, but I'm happy to do some more tutorial videos. I know someone had asked if I could do the covered busk one as a video tutorial, so I'll try and do that, but if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to ask, as I don't have the time to do a massive project at the moment, but would like to do some stuff that people would actually find useful.